Welcome to the deep dive. We're diving into a book today
Oh, yeah.
called Whiplash by Joi Ito and Jeff Howe.
Okay.
It's all about thriving in this era of relentless change.
Hmm.
You know how sometimes it feels like the world is changing faster than we can keep up with?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what this book tackles.
And it's fascinating how the authors start
Oh, yeah.
with the story of the Lumiere brothers.
The Lumiere brothers.
Yeah, those guys who basically invented movies.
Oh, wow. The first living photographs.
Right back in 1895.
I can only imagine what that must have been like
Yeah.
to witness that for the first time.
Imagine being in that Paris cafe.
Oh, yeah.
People crowded in.
Totally mesmerized.
You'd think the Lumiere brothers would have instantly grasped how revolutionary their invention was.
Yeah, for sure.
But they didn't at all.
Oh, wow. Really?
They thought it was just a passing fad.
A novelty.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's like when Samuel Morse...
The telegraph guy.
Yeah, he was convinced that telegraphs were the future, not telephones.
Totally missed the boat on that one.
Calling the telephone a toy? Can you imagine?
Talk about a missed opportunity.
It really goes to show that even the most brilliant minds can get blindsided.
By the sheer pace of change.
And that's precisely what Whiplash is all about.
This idea that we need a new mental operating system
To navigate this world.
where technology and interconnectedness are rewriting all the rules.
And honestly, sometimes it does feel like we're living in a sci-fi novel.
Right. It's like humanity is going through this intense period of evolution.
But instead of our biology adapting,
It's our culture and technology that are evolving at warp speed.
which is both incredibly exciting and a bit daunting.
Yeah, definitely a bit of both.
So how do we avoid becoming the next Lumiere brothers, missing out on the incredible potential right in front of us?
Well, Whiplash lays out 9 key principles
Okay, 9 principles.
for thinking and acting in this new reality.
Not what to think, but how to
Yeah.
think right.
Exactly. And the first principle is the exponential age.
Okay, the exponential age.
To understand this, imagine squeezing all of human history into a single New Year's Eve party.
Yeah, I'm picturing it.
It takes us almost the entire night to reach a population of 1 billion people.
So we're talking like 11:59 p.m.
Right. And then suddenly
Boom.
things explode.
It's like the party goes from a chill gathering to an absolute frenzy.
Precisely. That's the essence of exponential growth.
And it's not just about population growth either, is it?
No, it's everything.
Travel, information sharing.
Technological advancement.
It's like the rules of the game have completely changed.
But a lot of us are still playing by the old playbook.
And Whiplash gives some really striking examples of how this is playing out in the real world. Well, think about Craigslist.
Yeah, such a simple website.
But it completely disrupted entire industries built on classified ads.
And then there's that story about the day trader
Oh, yeah, the guy in his London apartment.
who nearly crashed the entire U.S. stock market with a rogue algorithm.
Scenarios like that just wouldn't have been possible a few decades ago,
It's a whole new ballgame.
where size and power don't automatically equal dominance anymore.
The advantage now lies in agility, adaptability,
And the ability to leverage the power of networks.
which brings us to principle number 2, emergence over authority.
Emergence over authority. Okay.
It's about recognizing the power of decentralized, self-organizing systems, like an ant colony. Thousands of individual ants, each following simple rules.
But collectively achieving this incredible complexity and resilience.
And it's fascinating how this mirrors the internet itself.
We talk about websites and platforms.
But the real magic is in the underlying network,
This web of interconnected nodes.
constantly exchanging information.
No single entity controls it.
But it's incredibly robust and adaptable.
And the book has this great story about Safecast.
Oh yeah, after the Fukushima disaster.
People were desperate for reliable information about radiation levels.
But the official channels were slow and opaque.
So this group of volunteers,
They created Safecast,
a citizen science project,
where people built their own radiation sensors and shared the data openly.
amazing example of how a decentralized bottom-up approach can solve problems.
That traditional authorities struggle with.
And this whole idea of pull is so powerful.
Right.
Instead of waiting for someone to provide what you need
You tap into the collective intelligence,
and resources of a network,
attracting what you need when you need it.
it's like crowdsourcing,
Crowdfunding,
open source software.
all powered by this pull dynamic.
It's a shift from a mindset of control and scarcity.
To one of connection and abundance.
I love that. Connection and abundance.
It's a powerful concept.
And we've only just begun to explore Whiplash.
There's so much more to uncover.
But for now, we'll let these ideas sink in
And we'll be back soon to dive deeper into the remaining principles of Whiplash.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
That was some serious food for thought.
Right.
We just explored two incredible principles from Whiplash.
The power of decentralized networks.
And the importance of prioritizing real-world experience over just theory.
Learning by doing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how much more you can grasp when you actually get your hands dirty.
Totally agree. It's like the difference between reading about how to ride a bike and actually getting on one.
Exactly. And that ties directly into the next principle.
Which is?
Practice over theory.
Okay, practice over theory.
And Whiplash tells this fascinating story about Tom Knight.
Tom Knight?
Yeah, a brilliant computer scientist at MIT.
Okay, so we're talking about a serious tech mind here.
Oh, yeah, one of the best.
What's the story?
Well, back in the 90s, Knight got fascinated by biology.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Most people at that time probably saw biology as this messy, unpredictable field.
Totally opposite from the clean, logical world of computers.
So what did Knight do?
Well, he had this engineer's mind. He wanted to take things apart, figure out how they worked, and then see if he could build something new.
So instead of just reading textbooks and studying theory?
He jumped right in and started experimenting.
Wow, really? Like hands-on in the lab?
He even enrolled in an introductory biology class alongside a bunch of college sophomores.
No way. A leading computer scientist surrounded by undergrads learning about cells and DNA.
That's how committed he was to this hands-on approach.
I love that. But did it actually lead to anything significant?
Oh, absolutely. Knight's practical approach helped him become a pioneer in the field of synthetic biology.
Synthetic biology. That sounds pretty cutting edge.
It is. Scientists are engineering new life forms.
New life forms.
Yeah, they're using standardized bits of DNA called biobricks.
Biobricks. What are those?
Imagine using Lego bricks to build complex structures. Biobricks are kind of like that, but for genetic material.
So scientists can assemble these pre-made DNA sequences.
To create new biological functions, like programming cells to produce specific proteins or chemicals.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like building with biological Legos.
And what's really inspiring is how accessible this field has become.
How so?
Whiplash highlights this global competition called IGE,
IgE.
where even high school students are designing and building their own genetically engineered organisms.
Wow, that's amazing.
It just goes to show how technology and this practice over theory mindset are democratizing innovation.
It's not just limited to elite labs anymore.
Anyone with the curiosity and the drive can get involved.
It makes you think, what skills could we all learn if we embraced this hands-on approach right? Instead of just reading about something, what if we jumped in and started experimenting, tinkering, and building?
That's a great question, and it actually connects to another principle from Whiplash.
Oh yeah, which one?
Pull over push.
Pull over push. We touched on this earlier when we were talking about Safecast.
Right. Instead of stockpiling resources or trying to force a solution, that's the push mentality.
You create the conditions to attract what you need when you need it.
Exactly.
So it's like setting up a magnet.
For the right people, ideas, and resources to come to you.
I like that analogy.
It's about being open and receptive to opportunities as they arise.
And trusting that the right resources will become available when you need them.
It's a shift in mindset from control to trust.
And Whiplash gives a great example of this principle in action.
Yeah, the story of Liam Casey, the king of Shenzhen.
Oh, right. The guy who built a global manufacturing empire without actually owning any factories.
He totally disrupted the traditional manufacturing model,
By.
embracing a radical pull strategy.
So no factories, no warehouses.
Nope, just a vast network of suppliers and an incredible ability to adapt to changing demands.
That sounds pretty risky. How did he manage to pull it off?
By being a master of pull and understanding how to leverage his network, he realized that in today's fast-paced world, agility and flexibility are far more valuable than owning physical assets.
He created a system that allowed him to respond to changes in the market incredibly quickly, tapping into his network as needed.
Exactly. He turned risk into a strategic advantage.
Wow, that's impressive. But this principle isn't just for business titans like Liam Casey, right?
Not at all. Pullover push can be applied to all sorts of situations, from launching a creative project to even managing your personal life.
It's about recognizing that we don't always have to control every aspect of a situation,
Sometimes it's more effective to set the stage.
and then allow the right opportunities and resources to come to us.
This takes us to another intriguing principle from Whiplash.
Okay, what is it?
Compasses over maps.
Compasses over maps. I'm intrigued.
It might seem counterintuitive, but in a world that's constantly changing.
Clinging to a rigid plan can actually be a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And that's what this principle is all about.
So instead of trying to map out every step of our journey,
We should focus on setting a general direction.
like a compass,
Precisely. And then be willing to adjust our course as we encounter new information and opportunities along the way.
that makes a lot of sense. I've definitely had experiences where I've clung too tightly to a plan.
And backfired.
Big time. So Whiplash is suggesting that we embrace a more flexible approach.
Exactly. Be open to the unexpected and trust our intuition to guide us in the right direction, even if it means deviating from the original plan.
That's a big shift for a lot of people, I think.
It is. But Whiplash argues that it's essential for thriving in today's world.
And the book offers a fantastic example of this principle in action.
The story of Neri Oxman's Silk Pavilion.
Silk Pavilion, what's that?
It's this incredible architectural dome created by silkworms.
You mean like actual silkworms?
Yeah, they were guided by a CNC robot to create this stunning structure.
Wow. A building made by silkworms. That's amazing. How did they even come up with that idea?
And that's the beauty of it. They couldn't have possibly planned out every detail from the start,
They had to adapt their design as they went along.
based on the silkworm's natural behavior,
So they used a compass to guide them.
allowing the project to unfold organically.
That's such a cool example. It shows that even in a project as intricate as building with silkworms.
Being adaptable and responsive is more important than clinging to a rigid blueprint.
I love that. So it's not about abandoning planning altogether,
It's about knowing your general direction.
but being open to adjusting your path along the way.
And sometimes the most valuable discoveries happen when we venture off the beaten track.
This is so insightful. I'm starting to see how these principles can be applied to all sorts of challenges.
From navigating career changes to tackling creative projects to even managing personal relationships.
Whiplash is giving us a whole new framework for thinking about the world.
One that embraces change and uncertainty as opportunities for learning and growth.
This has been incredible, and
Yeah.
we still have 3 more principles to uncover.
We're just getting started. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the world of Whiplash after a quick break.
Okay. So we've covered 6 principles from Whiplash so far.
And they've all been pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, definitely challenging some of my assumptions about how to navigate this crazy world.
That's what Whiplash does best, I think.
So what's next? What other groundbreaking ideas does this book have in store for us?
Well, the next principle might sound a bit counterintuitive at first.
Oh, I like counterintuitive.
It's called risk over safety.
Risk over safety. That's interesting.
Yeah, in a world where everyone's obsessed with minimizing risk.
Whiplash actually argues that playing it safe might be the riskiest move of all.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It is. But when you think about it,
Yeah.
technology has drastically lowered the cost of failure.
Oh, that's true.
We can experiment, iterate, and learn from our mistakes so much faster than ever before.
So, clinging to the status quo, trying to avoid any possibility of failure
That can actually lead to stagnation.
and missed opportunities.
Right. It's like that saying, the biggest risk is not taking any risks.
And Whiplash gives some really compelling examples of how this principle plays out in the real world.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, remember Liam Casey, the king of Shenzhen?
Oh, yeah, the guy who built that massive manufacturing empire without owning any factories?
He's a perfect example of someone who embraced risk.
He completely disrupted the traditional manufacturing model by outsourcing everything.
No factories, no warehouses, just a vast network of suppliers. And this incredible ability to adapt to change.
And it paid off big time. He turned risk into a strategic advantage.
And it's not just in the business world either.
No.
Think about the rise of Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, that decentralized currency.
It emerged from a distrust of traditional financial systems.
It's been incredibly volatile.
But its very existence shows what can happen when people challenge the status quo and embrace new technologies, even when they seem risky.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Whiplash is encouraging us to be bold, to step outside our comfort zones, and to embrace uncertainty.
It's about recognizing that the biggest rewards often come from taking calculated risks.
And this leads perfectly into the next principle, disobedience over compliance.
Ah, yes. This one's a real gem.
It might sound a bit rebellious, but I'm guessing it's not about blindly breaking rules just for the sake of it.
Definitely not. It's about recognizing that true innovation often comes from questioning assumptions.
And challenging the way things have always been done.
Whiplash tells the story of Wallace Carothers, the chemist who invented nylon.
Oh, wow, nylon. That's a pretty big
It was
deal.
a game changer, but his employer, DuPont, didn't initially see any use for it.
Really?
They thought it was a waste of time.
But Carruthers persisted, he disobeyed orders, and the result was one of the most successful consumer products of all time. It makes you wonder how many other groundbreaking inventions are out there just waiting for someone to be brave enough to break the rules.
And Whiplash offers even more examples of this principle in action.
Like,
Well, think about the early hackers who built the foundations of the internet.
they were definitely operating outside the established rules.
Driven by a desire to create something new and powerful.
And then there's the Shanzai pirates in Shenzhen.
Oh yeah, those guys are legendary.
They turned phone piracy into a hotbed of innovation.
Constantly pushing the boundaries of design and functionality.
It seems like disobedience can be a powerful force for good.
When it's driven by a desire to create something better, to challenge the status quo, and to make a real difference in the world.
Okay, we have one final principle to uncover.
And it's a powerful one.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's called resilience over strength.
Resilience over strength. Okay, I'm listening.
In a world of constant disruption, it's not about building impenetrable fortresses.
Because change is inevitable, right?
Exactly. Trying to control everything or resist change is a recipe for frustration.
So Whiplash suggests that we shift our focus.
From building strength to cultivating resilience.
The ability to adapt, to recover, and to learn from challenges.
The book uses a great analogy. It's like a tree bending in the wind instead of snapping.
So instead of trying to be rigid and unyielding,
We need to be flexible and adaptable like that tree.
and Whiplash gives a couple of contrasting examples of this principle in action.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's the story of YouTube. It started as a failed video dating site.
A video dating site. I had no idea.
But the founders were resilient
They were able to pivot.
and adapt.
And they ended up creating a platform that revolutionized video consumption.
It's a great reminder that failure isn't the end of the story.
It can often be a stepping stone to something even greater,
But Whiplash also highlights a more sobering example.
which is
Stuxnet, that sophisticated cyber weapon.
the one that targeted Iranian nuclear facilities.
Yeah, it showed that even the most secure systems are vulnerable.
So instead of trying to build these impenetrable defenses, which is probably impossible anyway,
We need to prioritize resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks and adapt to changing circumstances.
it's a crucial mindset for navigating the complexities of the 21st century.
Wow, this deep dive into Whiplash has been incredible.
Yeah.
I've explored 9 powerful principles for thriving in this era of relentless change.
From embracing exponential growth to the power of decentralized systems, from prioritizing hands-on learning to understanding the importance of risk and disobedience, from the power of pull to the wisdom of compasses over maps, and finally, to the crucial importance of resilience.
These are not just abstract concepts.
They're practical tools.
For navigating the challenges and opportunities of this rapidly changing world.
Whiplash doesn't offer any easy answers,
But it does give us a powerful framework for thinking about the future.
and a set of principles for approaching it with a sense of courage, curiosity, and resilience.
It's a call to action to embrace change, to challenge assumptions, and to never stop learning and exploring.
Because in a world of constant disruption, the only constant is change, and those who can adapt will be the ones who not only survive, but thrive.
So as you go forth into this world of accelerating change and mind-boggling complexity,
Remember the lessons of Whiplash.
be bold, be adaptable, and never stop questioning the way things are.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Whiplash. We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did.
We'll catch you next time for another exploration of the ideas that are shaping our world.